This is News 8 Now this morning.
Usually about this time of year, we hit the halfway point of our kettle goal, and then it just kind of picks up after that once we have our match days. But we're counting on the community, as we do every other year, to join us in that effort to help our neighbors.
So you're not only donating to a student's educational goals, but you're donating to in supporting community growth. So it really does make a long-lasting difference.
A good percentage of our business is not from La Crosse. It is people traveling. We tend to be a destination. People love to travel and antique.
And that was your eye-opener. Good morning, everybody, and thanks for watching News 8 Now this morning. I'm Ken Kozarowski. That's Derek Sibley. It is 6 a.m. on Wednesday, December 7th, 2022. Derek, the kind of morning that made it tough to get out of bed, cold, and then you get outside in the car and you're driving through fog on the way in. I mean,
nothing
absolutely
better, right?
rough hump day, to say the least.
Sure
But what's the latest out there?
Yeah, so Ken, we do have these dense fog advisories that are in effect, but believe it or not all of us under these dense fog advisories. It's mainly concentrated across our southern zones this morning, which does, by the way, include our northeastern Iowa counties. In Wisconsin, we have Vernon County, south into Crawford, and also into Richland County. This is until 10 o'clock this morning. That's because visibilities that you see highlighted here are anywhere between around a fourth to a half a mile at least, and some spots even lower. Use your low beam headlights if you're traveling, and also reduce your braking distance. Just give yourself plenty of time in general. As you can see, these visibilities looking bad, anywhere between around 0 to 2 miles. Meanwhile, La Crosse looking around 3-mile visibility, so maybe not as severe, but still looking at some reduced visibilities here this morning. Cloud cover here also beginning to increase along with the fog, and we're also watching this developing upper level disturbance moving east. This actually may clip portions of our northern zones later this morning into the afternoon to give us some snowy weather for our folks up north, but the rest of us this morning just waking up to foggy conditions and temperatures well into the teens and 20s, and you can see City Cam 8 there definitely looking foggy. And as we take you into the planner here for today, things will continue to remain foggy through the late morning hours, and the rest of the day does look sunny with temperatures only into those low to mid 30s, Ken.
All right, thanks very much, Derek. We'll get to some news this Wednesday morning. The La Crosse man accused of attacking a woman in a walking trail near Gunderson Health System is headed to trial. Joseph Gregorek is charged with kidnapping. The victim told police back in March he pulled her to the ground and began dragging her toward the river. She got away by kicking and screaming, but he followed her until 2 other people walking the trail stopped to help. He pleaded not guilty to the charges. His jury trial is set for this June. The Wisconsin nurse accused of amputating a patient's foot without permission made her first court appearance Tuesday. 38-year-old Mary Kay Brown is charged with physical abuse of an elder person, intentionally causing great bodily harm, and mayhem. If convicted, she faces up to 40 years in prison on each of the felony charges. The judge issued a $150,000 signature bond. She still needs to find an attorney. Now, she is set to return to court next week. Well, imagine taking a simple fall down a ski hill, and just as you're ready to make your way back up to the top for another go, fire, EMS, and law enforcement all rush over to make sure you're okay. We explore now how a feature on the latest Apple products are causing much ado about nothing.
In her 10 years of experience,
Columbia County 911, where is your emergency?
911 coordinator Elizabeth Schutz has had her share of false alarms.
Thank you. We average about 100 to 150 911 hang-ups a month.
Between pocket dials and kids playing with phones, there's not much they can do about those calls. But when it comes to the latest wave of accidental calls, Columbia County Dispatch is asking for help.
First one came in Cascade Mountain.
A big skiing hill in the area has become a bit of a hotspot for 911 hang-ups, thanks to a crash detection feature on some Apple Watches in the new iPhone 14s.
Our response to it is we have to treat every call as if it's real, that there is some type of immediate danger to their life or their safety.
Schutz says it can be a great tool to have in case of an emergency, but unlike car crash detection apps like OnStar, it's a lot more sensitive.
The other one we had was a gentleman driving a tractor. He jumped off the tractor and it thought he had fallen. In fact, he was just in his field doing some farm work and everything was okay.
To avoid these, the Columbia County Sheriff's Office says maybe turn off that emergency SOS setting when you know you'll be doing a high-impact, low-risk activity.
You can have it always on, only on during workouts, or you can toggle it off, and then it will prevent any accidental 911s.
And for people not keen on turning off that safety feature, they say the best thing you can do once an accidental call is made is stay on the line.
Yeah, you're not going to be in trouble for it going off. We really just want to make sure you're okay.
And officials with the Columbia Dispatch say they've received about a dozen calls with the feature in the past month, and none of them have been an emergency situation. La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds wants the city's police department to take on animal control duties. The Cooley Region Humane Society has been solely responsible for responding to animal-related calls and housing strays and other neglected animals for 40 years. Under a new proposed contract, the La Crosse Police Department will hire one animal control officer to handle animal-related calls. The shelter will still house and care for the animals. The full Common Council will be voting on the resolution this Thursday. The La Crosse School Board is holding a workshop for anyone interested in running for school board. 4 seats are up for grabs during the April 4th election. The virtual workshop will take place today at 5 p.m. You'll need to RSVP ahead of time. Nomination papers must be filed no later than 5 in the afternoon on January 3rd. Teenagers don't always like to talk about their troubles, but new survey results make it clear that they need help. Data released on Tuesday from the Wisconsin Department of Instruction shows troubling trends around youth mental health.
The numbers are alarming, the worst since 2003.
We've essentially erased some of the positive trends in decreasing suicidality.
New state data shows almost 20% of Wisconsin high schoolers have seriously considered committing suicide in the past year. It's just one of several troubling trends around teen mental health that has state leaders calling for drastic action.
Our systems of care, including schools, that are often the first and primary form of mental health support, we're under-resourced and we're tired. And so it's really important to start this conversation today to get an awareness of the problem.
It's especially troubling for high-risk groups. While more than half of students surveyed reported significant problems with anxiety, for lesbian, gay, and bisexual students, that number jumps up to 80%. Experts say what's most striking for LGB students, 2 of every 4 LGB youth had suicidal thoughts, and 1 of 4 actually attempted to take their own lives.
We have to pay attention to the fact that for some subgroups of our students, the world at large is not a very safe place.
The biggest problem, there's not enough mental health resources to meet young people's needs, but experts say there are ways to help.
What really helps decrease this anxiety and hopelessness is positive affirmation. You know, messages to the kids that are saying, you are doing great, you are doing enough.
The Department of Instruction is pushing to expand its budget to better staff schools. Its goal is to have at least 1 staff member focused on youth mental health for every district. A 24-hour fundraiser is underway at La Crosse's Western Technical College. The foundation says its first ever Giving Day falls in line with its mission to put the students first. All money raised will go to the college's emergency fund, which helps reduce financial barriers for students. More than 75% of Western students stay in the La Crosse area, so employees say donating will help both students and the community.
So you're not only donating to a student's educational goals, but you're donating to in supporting community growth. So it really does make a long-lasting difference.
The fundraiser runs through 9 this morning. If you'd like to help, we'll post more information at news8000.com. There are 18 days left in the Red Kettle campaign, and the Salvation Army is asking the community for help. The Red Kettle campaign is one of the biggest fundraisers for the nonprofit and accounts for over 1/3 of their yearly budget. The Salvation Army is $200,000 away from reaching their goal. Although that's a large amount to raise in just over 2 weeks, employees say that every penny counts.
Usually about this time of year, we hit the halfway point of our kettle goal, and then it just kind of picks up after that once we have our match days. But we're counting on the community, as we do every other year, to join us in the effort to help our neighbors.
The Salvation Army could also use more bell ringer volunteers. We have more information on how to donate and volunteer at news8000.com. Horse Sense also needs the community support these days. The Vernon County-based organization is asking for donations as part of its holiday donation match campaign. All donations up to $10,000 will be matched. Money raised will benefit the Therapeutic Riding Center during the winter months when there are no lessons. You can double your gift during the match event. Just head to news8000.com for more information. It is 6:09 a.m. on your Wednesday morning. Still ahead on your morning news, if you're still in the market for a Christmas tree, you might actually be better off buying an artificial one. And despite inflation, business is booming for stores in La Crosse. That story and more still to come. For now, we're sending you to break with something to put the good in your morning. Wednesday is a sweet day indeed. It is National Cotton Candy Day. I think you know how to celebrate. Go get some. Hey, believe it or not, a dentist helped invent machine-spun cotton candy in the 1890s, and it was introduced to a wide audience at the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. Cotton candy has other names across the world, including candy floss and fairy floss. Don't go anywhere. More News 8 Now this morning coming up after the break.
That was a live and foggy look there from City Cam 8, and you could probably see some of those clouds there being illuminated by some of the light pollution downtown. But the more thicker foggy conditions are concentrated down south, where we have northeast Iowa and as well as Vernon County into Crawford and as well as Richland County under this dense fog advisory until 10 o'clock this morning. And that's because visibilities down to the south are anywhere between around 0 to 2 miles. And La Crosse is improving, though, around 7-mile visibility there. And the further north you go, the visibilities do gradually improve. Our current temperatures are mainly into the teens and 20s as you head out the door this morning. And your zone forecast today does call for temperatures, at least in La Crosse County today, only be into the low 30s. Looking at partly cloudy skies today, West Salem, you'll be a high of 31. As we head south, they'll be into the 30s here as well in Viroqua, 30 degrees, 32 in Stoddard. Highs reach 28 in Arcadia today and 32 right at the freezing mark in Black River Falls, 31 in Melrose, and then highs here across our north zones, mainly into the 20s here as well. So watch out for some foggy conditions, especially from our south, but central or down towards our southern zones through around the lunch hour, and then sunshine for the afternoon. Temperatures around the freezing mark of 32. I'll be back with the full weather forecast that's still to come in weather.
Christmas tree farms say this year's harvest looks good and they don't expect shortages. However, Christmas trees are still going to cost you a lot more. It's because tree farms' operating costs from labor and raw materials have also risen over the last year. Industry group Real Christmas Tree Board in August surveyed 55 wholesale growers of Christmas trees who account for about 2/3 of the nationwide supply. They found 71% of those surveyed expect to raise the wholesale prices that they charge retailers by 5% to 15%. Hey, good news for anyone driving this holiday season. Gas prices should continue to come down. Oil prices hit their lowest level of the year Tuesday, falling to just over $74 a barrel. That's 43% down from their peak of more than $130 a barrel in March. The drop comes even as the European Union and the West implemented new restrictions on oil from Russia. Prices at the pump have dropped an average of 42 cents during the last month. Pfizer and BioNTech are countersuing competitor Moderna over its patent violation claims against them. The suit concerns the development of the Pfizer-BioNTech mRNA COVID-19 vaccines. In their suit filed Monday, Pfizer and BioNTech have asked the court to dismiss a Moderna lawsuit in order that Moderna's patents are invalid and not violating. Additionally, the company is being sued by 2 biotech companies for the same thing it accuses Pfizer of: patent violations. Rising inflation doesn't seem to be stopping people from checking off items on their holiday wish list. It's actually quite the opposite. News 8 Now's Dua Israr spoke to a local La Crosse business owner who says business is booming.
Good afternoon.
When the weather gets chillier and the stores start to get busier.
So what are we buying today?
It's that time of the year again.
And the opportunity for unique and fun gifts. Downtown's where you find those.
Everyone has a holiday wish list.
We are a consumer society, period, and that we're driven by consumers.
But with rising inflation, there were fears of a quiet holiday.
We're concerned about the cost of gasoline, people traveling. A good percentage of our business is not from La Crosse. It is people traveling. I've got some beautiful 50s lowball pieces.
Kim Calkins is often found at the front desk of the Antique Center of La Crosse.
There is your receipt and $1.01. I thank you, sir.
Last year, the Antique Center reached a record number of sales. It's a record the store may break again by the end of the year.
3 colleges here in town love to come in here and buy old crew necks.
Downtown Main Street Director Terry Bauer says events including Rotary Lights and the Holiday Open House encourage visitors to shop local.
It's just not the stores, it's the quality of life, and it's the things that are going on in our community that people want to participate in.
Bauer says shopping local keeps small businesses open.
Thanks for stopping, folks.
All while making sure everything on your wish list ends up in a shopping bag. Reporting in La Crosse, Dua Esrar, News 8 Now.
Thanks a lot, Dua. Downtown Main Street says many stores are actually new to the area this year because of Governor Evers' Bounce Back program.
Well, it sure is a very foggy start here this morning from City Cam 8 in downtown La Crosse, and you can see kind of the light pollution illuminating some of those clouds there in the distance, those low hanging clouds, that is, which is fog. 24 degrees are the temperatures here in the La Crosse area. We do have a feel-like temperature in the teens of roughly 17. Northwest winds around 6 miles an hour. Let's take a look at the current conditions to the north in Eau Claire. 20 degrees, the current temperatures here. A feel like of 11 degrees when you factor in wind speeds out of the north-northeast at around 7 miles an hour. All right, so dense fog advisories are in effect here across our southern zones. This is mainly across northeast Iowa, as well as into Wisconsin, such as Vernon County, Crawford, and Richland County. This is until 10 o'clock this morning for visibilities between around 1/4 to 1/2 mile. So make sure to use your low beam headlights and give yourself plenty of braking distance, as well as go slow here on your morning commute. You want to just give yourself plenty of extra time here, especially if you're down to the south where visibilities are currently being reported anywhere between around 0 to about 1 mile. But the further north you go, it does get better. 7 miles currently in La Crosse, and then further north you can see visibilities are about crystal clear around 10 miles, especially around Eau Claire, where current temperatures were once again around 20. 9 degrees in Black River Falls to the south, and 18 currently in Sparta, 19 to the west in Winona. Got some clouds that are moving in across the area from the west associated with this upper level system containing some snow showers, and this system is moving in our general direction, so this could clip portions of the northern zones to give us some snowy weather here starting later this morning and then just continue through the early afternoon. The rest of us looking at some foggy conditions this morning, and then sunshine here around the noon hour. Temperatures at 31 with sunny skies around 4. Clear skies, temperatures then dropping into the 20s by this evening. Highs today rising to 32 in Black River Falls, 28 to the west in Winona today. Highs around 30 degrees if you're in Viroqua. And taking a look at Sky Tracker, you can see that snow here, getting back to that system, moving east and affecting us here across our northern zones, more specifically up towards Rusk County around 9 o'clock. That activity should clear out by the early afternoon. Then we're just left over with some clouds cover in the wake of that system. And then for tonight, high pressure here. You can see that clockwise spinning motion here to our northeast. That should help keep us dry and quiet for tonight, and maybe a little bit of fog here tomorrow morning. The rest of the day looks nice and sunny as high pressure here to our northeast is in store. Watching this system, though, to our southwest as we head into tomorrow night into early Friday. And this system could give us some snow here as it continues to move in towards the northeast and affect the Coulee region through at least early Friday, and then after that things look to be pretty cloudy though for the rest of the day on your Friday. Your 8-day forecast shows us that we will be looking at that rain and snow by the end of this work week here. That's from that system that we're watching, and then it looks like it's going to get pretty mild here as we head into early next week. Stay with us though, we're back with much more news and weather still to come here on News 8 Now this morning, but we're taking a quick break with a look at what happened on this day in history for December 7th. We'll be right back. Well, we are waking up to some foggy conditions here this morning. As you can see here behind me, a dense fog advisory is in effect across our southern zones. This does include northeastern Iowa. In Wisconsin, this includes Vernon County into Crawford County, as well as Richland County until 10 a.m. this morning. Visibilities here between around 1/4 to 1/2 mile. And you can see that here actually, and the current visibility is looking worse than that, around 0 miles in Decorah and Viroqua, 1 mile in Prairie du Chien, and 1 mile in Boscobel. Current temperatures as you head out the door into the teens and 20s this morning. Be careful in the dog walking conditions. May not really see a whole lot in front of you. Foggy conditions there. Sunny afternoon though in store. Clear skies this evening. I'll be back with a check on the commute forecast next in weather.
Welcome to the Blitz. As the temperatures dip, local athletes are hitting the hardwood. The Luther boys basketball squad was just 1 win away from making it to Madison last season. West Salem made it there. The Panthers finished as the state runner-up. Last night, both squads tipping off Coulee Conference play. Both teams looking for a big early season conference win. Facing off in Onalaska first half. This one, a tight one. Luther's Logan Barr hits the 3. We're all tied up at 10. Later on, West Salem's Peter Latos gets the steal here. takes it the other way and ends it with a big slam. The Panthers go up 6. West Salem open up conference play with the win. They take this one 97-88. Moving on to the MVC, Holman boys traveling to Aquinas. The Blue Golds on the attack early. Walter Burns pulls up from beyond the arc. The junior, good for the opening triple of the game. Aquinas looking for more here, but Holman's Caden Wilbur is there with the steal. Takes it all the way in for the layup. Vikings close the early gap. More from Holman. Quick passing ends up in the hands of Drew Tengblad. He collects 2 for the visitors. Vikings looking to extend their lead here, but a miss ends up in the hands of Burns once again. He goes the length of the court for 2 more for the home team. Blue Golds get a big conference win over Holman, 76-67. Over to girls basketball, Onalaska facing off against Central. Pick action up in the second half. The Hilltoppers, Anna Skemp moving fast down the court. Kicks into the corner. Ella Stevens drains the long 2. Visitors take a 2-point lead. Riverhawks respond quickly in the paint. Sienna Torgerud going off the glass. Riverhawks come away with the win, 40-30. Staying in the MVC, big conference clash last night at Holman. Vikings playing host to Sparta. Holman up 11 at the break. Vikings keeping their foot on the gas in the third. Gabby Powell puts her squad up 13. Spartans trying to stay in the fight. Evelyn Tripp, the crossover, the step back, and the long 2's nothing but net. Sparta cuts it back to 11, but the Vikings one step ahead. The pass here from Danica Raban ahead to Charlie Casey for the lay-in. Vikings all over Sparta last night. They win it 69-41. Big news out of Madison last night. Jim Leonard announcing on Twitter that he will no longer be part of the Badgers staff next season. Leonard saying he will remain the DC through Wisconsin's bowl game, but will no longer be a part of Luke Fickell's staff moving forward. Leonard spent the last 7 seasons in Madison. That'll do it for the Blitz. We'll see you tonight.
Breaking overnight, a federal judge has thrown out a lawsuit against Saudi Prince Mohammed bin Salman for the killing of Jamal Khashoggi. The Washington Post journalist's fiancé filed a lawsuit against bin Salman for the murder. It was dismissed because, as a prime minister, bin Salman is entitled to head of state immunity. Judge John Bates expressed his uneasiness in having to throw out the case. He pointed out bin Salman was made a prime minister after the murder and says it was possibly a tactic designed specifically so he could get immunity. The Trump Organization was found guilty of 17 counts, including tax fraud, by a New York jury on Tuesday. The former president's company was the center of a 15-year-long criminal scheme in which executives were given off-the-books perks, including luxurious cars, rent-free apartments, and private school tuition for relatives. Trump himself was not charged in the case, but prosecutors argued he knew about the fraud. An attorney for the Trump Organization says they plan to appeal. Georgia Democrat Raphael Warnock has claimed victory in Georgia's runoff election for Senate. With 99% of the votes reporting, the Associated Press has called Warnock's victory over Republican candidate Herschel Walker Tuesday night. Warnock received over 51% of the vote. Democrats will now have a 51-49 Senate majority, meaning the end of one senator veto power. Democrats like Joe Manchin have previously held up the lawmaking process. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer said the Senate can now go, quote, bolder and quicker. A federal team has joined the investigation into a fire that destroyed an abandoned Minneapolis apartment building. The owner of the building that burned this weekend also owns another vacant property that has a fire this past fall. Marielle Mose has the story.
Time will tell what we can find.
The ATF National Response Team showed up to the burned building on South Lyndale early Monday morning. They've been called in to help local and state agencies determine the cause of this fire. ATF's biggest asset is resources for a large-scale investigation inside a collapsed 4-story building.
You may see large excavating equipment, and that's something that ATF can provide to the state and locals at no cost.
And it's pretty rare for federal agents to be brought in for something like this. The last time the ATF National Response Team was here was during summer 2020 during the civil unrest.
This is the first time that ATF has been called in this year.
This building is owned by C. David George. It's been a nuisance property for some time, with Minneapolis police getting disturbance calls to the building 53 times in the last year. WCCO learned on Monday that the city of Minneapolis staff reached out to the owner 16 times since May to let him know about various safety issues at his property and his obligation to maintain and secure the building. They were in touch with him as recently as the week before the fire. This property is in the Lowry Hill East neighborhood, which is Councilmember Aisha Chugtai's ward. She told WCCO in a statement that the city is working with the owner and his attorney, who has indicated he would like to sell. The city is looking at potential buyers, including affordable housing owners.
And Councilmember Chugtai has encouraged people to report issues with vacant buildings and says documented patterns help with city intervention to start making changes. Patients all over Minnesota are breathing a sigh of relief. A looming nurses' strike was called off Tuesday after a tentative agreement between the nurses' union and hospital leadership. Marielle is back now to break down the deal and how people are feeling about it.
I'm relieved.
With flu season already far ahead of normal, Becky Gettle feels better knowing she and her 5-year-old daughter Blakely will be able to get care if needed. It was something she was worried about last week when the nurses' union voted to strike.
We rely on those nurses.
On Tuesday morning, 15 Twin Cities and Twin Ports hospitals called off their strike after reaching tentative agreements.
I am ecstatic because they should be the ones getting that pay. They do it all.
The Minnesota Nurses Association says there are 2 major wins in this tentative agreement. The first is new contract language that would address the chronic understaffing issue in hospitals. The second is historic pay. Here in the Twin Cities, hospitals would see 18% pay increase over the course of 3 years. In Twin Ports, it would be 17% over the course of 3 years, and all of the nursing staff would receive retroactive pay as well.
The reason you're having a shortage is truly because of pay. I'm glad that it's in the language, but even if it wouldn't have been, with that pay increase that they deserve, it's just going to be so much better for everybody.
Mary Turner, the president of the Minnesota Nurses Association, says this tentative agreement will help to keep nurses at the bedside, where we will keep fighting to oppose the corporate healthcare policies which threaten our hospital systems and the care our patients deserve. All the hospitals involved released statements as well. Children's Minnesota says they're grateful. Essentia Health saying they appreciate efforts to reach a solution. Allina Health calls the agreement fair and equitable. And Twin Cities Hospitals says the agreement will help ensure patients continue to receive excellent care.
Now, there's one hospital in the northeast part of the state that still has not reached an agreement with the nurses union. St. Luke's Lakeview Hospital in Two Harbors is the last holdout right now, but contract talks are ongoing. The next negotiating session is set for Friday. Wisconsin officials are wrapped up in the ongoing investigation involving the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The DOJ subpoenaed 2 county clerks as part of the investigation. Federal investigators want copies of all communications the Dane and Milwaukee County clerks might have had with a series of officials connected to the 2020 Trump campaign. Dane County Clerk Scott McDonald says that's one person, Jim Trupus, a Dane County attorney who helped the Trump campaign file for a recount and argued unsuccessfully that thousands of Dane County ballots needed to be thrown out.
So I had a fair amount of interaction with him during that. So those transcripts are part of what we are sending over today. Yeah, I didn't have any phone call transcripts. It was all in person at Monona Terrace at the recount.
The DOJ served similar subpoenas to local officials in both Michigan and Arizona. Wisconsin's Republican representatives in Congress are calling on Governor Tony Evers to delete TikTok from all state government devices. The representatives, including Senator Ron Johnson, called the video platform a national security threat. In a letter to Evers, the 6 Republicans wrote the app can be used by the Chinese government to spy on users and promote Chinese communist propaganda. TikTok CEO has said the company protects American users' data and that the Chinese government has no access to it. A report from the Federal Reserve reveals that U.S. factory production is on the rise. News 8 Now's Emily Haugen spoke with experts who say Wisconsin manufacturing is doing well, but companies need more help.
Wisconsin is a manufacturing state. Just ask Josh Gamer at Western Technical College.
In our region, welders and fabricators are extremely high demand. There's one local employer right now that would hire 40 of them if they were available to them.
Inside Western's Integrated Technology Center, students get hands-on experience with machines they'll use in their career.
Programs are built around the exact skills the students need to possess upon going into a job market.
Enrollment isn't up in Western's programs.
Luckily in this particular area with the advanced manufacturing programs and the trades-based programs, enrollment levels have pretty much flattened.
But demand for Western grads is.
We can tell our students that are coming in here that there are going to be jobs available, and those jobs are going to have extremely good wages associated with them, and you're going to have options to choose from.
We estimate that there are at least 40,000 unfilled manufacturing jobs in Wisconsin alone.
Kurt Bauer, CEO of Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce, says this demand will help the economy, even as we trend toward a recession.
We're looking at the fact that some aspects of the economy are not great, but yet the employment levels are still very high. That will buoy the economy.
Over the years, manufacturing has changed.
Skill sets that are required today are much higher, much more advanced, and they come with more significant salaries as well.
But Gamer says its impact stays the same.
For every dollar we spend in direct manufacturing, you're getting at least $1.75 in return to the local economy.
In La Crosse, Emily Haugen, News 8 Now.
Wisconsin Manufacturers and Commerce is currently working on its biannual report. More data should be available early next year.
Well, we continue to track some of that dense fog that continues to develop and spread across especially our southern zones here this morning, where we are under these dense fog advisories until 10 a.m. Northeast Iowa included in this as well. In our counties and across our southern Wisconsin areas like Vernon County down towards Crawford, as well as Richland County under this advisory as well until 10 a.m. this morning. 1/4 of a mile to a half a mile at times, and you want to use your low beam headlights here as well. In fact, visibilities coming in this morning actually look less than that, around 0 in Viroqua and towards the southwest in Decorah, looking at 1 mile visibilities coming in for Prairie du Chien and Bosquebel. Our current temperature readings are into the teens and 20s this morning, so in addition to watching out for the fog on your commute, you might want to bundle up out there. Mostly sunny though after that fog clears out, 34 degrees. The temperature today looking seasonable and light north winds at 5 to 10. Now for tonight, we drop down to 20. That's seasonable here tonight as well, with mostly clear and light and variable winds. As far as your drivecast goes here for the morning, looking foggy and then turning sunny here for the lunch hour, looking good there. And then those clear weather conditions will last late this afternoon into early this evening as well. Stay tuned. We'll have a final check on your full weather forecast. That's next in weather. Ken?
All right. Thanks very much, Derek. It is 6:40 a.m. on this Wednesday. After the break, comedian and actor Bill Cosby on the hot seat again. The latest allegations Cosby is facing coming up after this.
Well, it sure is a very foggy start out there for a lot of us this morning, but if you look at City Cam 8 here behind me in downtown La Crosse, it looks like the visibilities here this morning, at least from what we can tell outside now, are beginning to improve. In fact, we do have temperatures here as well around 24 degrees, cloudy skies. You can see our visibility coming in around 7 miles. That's what I really wanted to start off with you first, though. Our feel like temperature of 17 and a river stage at 4.82 feet and dropping. Current conditions in Eau Claire, 20 degrees. Visibility better here, 10 miles, north-northeast winds at 7, making our feel like temperature of around 11 degrees. Let's get to that dense fog advisory now. This is mainly across our southern zones until around 10 o'clock this morning. This does include our northeastern Iowa counties as well as our Wisconsin counties. You can see Vernon County into Crawford County as well as Richland County underneath this dense fog advisory until 10. That's because visibilities here between around 1/4 to a half a mile at times, even possibly even lower than that in some spots. Use your low beam headlights and of course reduce your braking distance and just give yourself some extra time on your morning commute in general. In fact, you could see some of these visibility reports coming in. 0 miles but in both Viroqua and in Decorah. 1 mile visibilities coming in Prairie du Chien and Bosquebel. Of course, it does improve though the further north you go, and temperatures here across much of the area are into the teens and 20s as you head out the door this morning. Got some cloudy weather that's moving in now across the Coulee region in addition to the fog here as well. We're also watching this upper level disturbance containing some snowy weather across portions of northern Wisconsin as well as central and eastern Minnesota. This activity is moving towards the east, and this could clip our northern zones here as we head towards a late morning and also into the early afternoon hours. The rest of us, of course, just looking foggy out there. That should, though, gradually improve and turn sunny as we progress throughout the day today. 31 by 4, and then by 8 o'clock, we're clear with temperatures at around 21 degrees. Our highs today, mainly into those low to mid-30s. We're looking at a high of only 24 in Eau Claire today and 34 degrees for the high in La Crosse. Widening out the view on SkyTracker, getting back to that system here containing the snow, you can see it moving its way east and then clipping here our northern zones around 9 o'clock or so, and then continue through much of the morning before it does begin to clear around around noon today. Then we're just left over with cloudy skies in north central and northern zones here today. So lots of clear skies here in place as we head into tonight as high pressure to the northeast builds in. As long as that high is in place here tomorrow, that's going to help give us some sunny weather conditions to work with. But here's our next system, though, that we're going to be watching. You can see that spin here, that low pressure system, and that's going to move its way northeast with the snow here with the system as we head into early Friday, starting Thursday night into early Friday, really. And then after that snow clears out, we should be in better shape here by Friday evening, but it still will remain pretty cloudy, though. Snowfall accumulations around 1 to 3 inches are possible with that system. And you can see that we do have good precipitation chances for Thursday night and into Friday. Watch out for another chance of maybe even some wintry mix here on Saturday. Check out those high temperatures into the upper 30s to low 40s by early next week.
In our Buzz Report this morning, the legal drama between exes Amber Heard and Johnny Depp still ongoing. The Los Angeles Times reports Heard's lawyers have appealed the defamation case that she lost. They say there were several errors in the trial earlier this year, including no proof that actual malice occurred. Depp sued Heard for defamation after she wrote a 2018 op-ed in the Washington Post. Depp was awarded $10 million in compensatory damages and $350,000 in punitive damages. The case is set to go to a 3-judge Court of Appeals panel. Actor-comedian Bill Cosby is facing more accusations of sexual assault. 5 women, including 2 former actresses on The Cosby Show, filed a lawsuit against Cosby Monday. Under a new look-back law in New York, it gives adult survivors of sex abuse a 1-year window to sue their abusers. The women filing the suit accuse Cosby of assault, battery, infliction of emotional distress, and false imprisonment dating back decades. In a statement, Cosby spokesman Andrew Wyatt called the lawsuit frivolous and denied the allegations. On Tuesday, the 48th Annual People's Choice Awards, hosted by Kenan Thompson, took place in California. Ryan Reynolds was awarded the 2022 People's Icon. Reynolds thanked the people in his life, such as his mom and late father, who died in 2015. He also thanked his wife, Blake Lively, and their kids directly, saying, "Blake and my girls are my heart, hope, and happiness." Reynolds was also nominated for the Male Movie Star of the Year and Comedy Movie Star of the Year. All right, 6:48 a.m. this Wednesday. Let's head to break with today's Look Who's 8.
That's right, Ken. We got a couple of birthdays to celebrate this morning. Our first one is Finley, who is turning 8 today. Now, Finley is an energetic, sports-loving second grader who loves to make others smile and laugh.
And a happy 18th birthday to Regan. She is a kind-hearted 18-year-old who loves to spend her free time reading and playing with her 3 dogs.
Well, if you know a special someone turning 8 months, 8 years, 18, 80 or 88 years old soon, we'd love to feature them.
Absolutely. Just upload their photo to our website, news8000.com, and look for the Submit Pictures button under the Home tab on our website. Stay with us. We have everything you need to know today in 5 minutes or less. Your morning news now, coming up next. Welcome back, everybody. Time for your morning news now. The Antique Store of La Crosse has been around for over 35 years. Last year, the store set a personal record for the most sales in the month of December. Record owner Kim Calkins says he may break it this year. The Antique Center store sells a variety of vintage items, many from the 60s and 70s. Calkins says the variety of prices and items means there's something at the antique store for everyone. Now, as inflation and gas prices increase, Calkins feared business would slow down.
A good percentage of our business is not from La Crosse. It is people traveling. We tend to be a destination. People love to travel and antique.
That's right. And despite his concerns, Calkins says business has been thriving. He says events including Holiday Open House and Rotary Lights encourage people to stop by downtown and do some shopping. La Crosse Mayor Mitch Reynolds wants the city's police department to take on animal control duties. Now, the Cooley Region Humane Society has been solely responsible for responding to animal-related calls and housing strays and neglected animals for 40 years. Under a new proposed contract, the La Crosse Police Department will hire 1 animal control officer to handle animal-related calls. The shelter would still house and care for the animals. The full Common Council will be voting on the resolution coming up this Thursday. Christmas Tree Farms say this year's harvest looks good and they don't expect shortages. However, Christmas trees are still going to cost you a lot. It's because Tree Farms' operating costs from the labor and raw materials have also risen over the last year. Industry group Real Christmas Tree Board surveyed 55 wholesale growers of Christmas trees who account for about 2/3 of the nationwide supply. and they found 71% of those expect to raise the wholesale prices that they charge retailers from 5% to 15%. The La Crosse School Board is holding a workshop for anyone interested in running for school board. 4 seats are going to be up for grabs during the April 4th election. The virtual workshop will take place today at 5. You'll need to RSVP ahead of time. And then nomination papers must be filed no later than 5 p.m. on January 3rd.
Temperatures this morning are into the low 20s underneath those very thick, foggy conditions, so be careful on your morning commute there. Turning mostly sunny here later this morning and also throughout the rest of the day. High temperatures around 34 degrees around that 2 to 3 o'clock hour. Clear skies this evening with temperatures then dropping into the 20s.
All right, thanks very much, Derek. A 24-hour fundraiser is underway at La Crosse's Western Technical College. The foundation says its first ever Giving Day falls in line with its mission to put the students first. All money raised will go to the college's emergency fund, which helps reduce financial barriers for students. More than 75% of Western students stay in the La Crosse area, and employees say donating will help both students and the community.
So you're not only donating to a student's educational goals, but you're donating to in supporting community growth. So it really does make a long-lasting difference.
The fundraiser runs through 9 this morning. If you'd like to help, we've got more information at news8000.com. There are 18 days left in the Red Kettle campaign, and the Salvation Army is asking the community for help. The Red Kettle campaign is one of the biggest fundraisers for the nonprofit. It accounts for over 1/3 of their entire yearly budget. Salvation Army currently $200,000 away from reaching their goal. And although that's a large amount to raise in just over 2 weeks, employees say that every penny counts.
Usually about this time of year, we hit the halfway point of our kettle goal, and then it just kind of picks up after that once we have our match days. But we're counting on the community, as we do every other year, to join us in that effort to help our neighbors.
The Salvation Army could also use more bell ringer volunteers. We've got more information on news8000.com. And hey, Horse Sense also needs the community support. The Vernon County-based organization is asking for donations as part of its holiday donation match campaign. All donations up to $10,000 will be matched. Money raised will benefit the Therapeutic Riding Center during the winter months when there are no lessons. Double your gift during the match event. Just go to news8000.com and you can donate online.
And as you head out the door this morning, here's a final check on your 8-day forecast. After that fog clears out, we turn mostly sunny today with a high of 34, mostly cloudy 37 for your Thursday. We're going to watch out for a chance of rain and snow here Thursday night, maybe even some snow into early Friday morning as well. Again, before we start to warm up, our temperatures go up to the near 40s by the end of the week.
All right, something to look forward to.
Yeah. Exactly.
But at the same time, it's still that 50% chance on Friday.
Gotta watch out for that.
Bummer. All right. Well, hey, don't forget to keep up with the news of the day on our website, news8000.com. Looking very excellent right now. Yeah. We'll have the latest updates to today's top stories on News 8 Now at noon. That's Derek Sibley. I'm Ken Kozorowski. Have a great rest of your day.